Welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and this morning we're visiting with Bill McCloskey with the Kentucky Office of Ag Policy. He's the Deputy Executive Director there. We were really excited. It was a brand new thing when we got some of this ag development funding in Kentucky, but for people who might not be aware of how those funds originated, can you kind of take us through the process?
We've been fortunate in Kentucky agriculture, over $750 million invested since we've been working together. It's been invested in Kentucky agriculture here to diversify Kentucky agriculture into other enterprises here in the state. The origination of the money came out of the Master Settlement Agreement of 1998. That was a lawsuit between the states and the cigarette companies. At that time, the cigarette companies knew that smoking was harmful. Those that were smoking were being treated and expenses were incurred by the states. So that was the basis of the lawsuit. And the cigarette companies have agreed to pay the states into perpetuity. I looked that up in the dictionary, Joanna. That's forever. So they're making those payments into the states. In Kentucky, it's about $100 million. About half of it gets invested in the Kentucky agriculture. Again, to my point earlier about helping diversify away from tobacco, because that was 25% of our cash receipts or our economy here in agriculture. So we've seen the diversification for 25 years as a result of over $750 million in these tobacco funds being invested.
Yeah, and what a great opportunity. Kentucky has utilized these funds to do that with agriculture because a lot of other states did not.
That's right. We're one of three states, Tennessee and North Carolina, through their leadership, have invested their Master Settlement Agreement into agriculture. The rest of the states are using the money to balance their budget or projects not related to agriculture. So we've really been fortunate that we've had our ag leadership and our legislators have supported the Master Settlement Agreement funds being invested in agriculture.
Absolutely, and it's evolved over time. You know, we've talked about how, a lot of people call it bull money, Cape money, tobacco money, and so there's all kinds of names, but it is not taxpayer dollars. It originated from this settlement, but there is a process for investment.
Yes, the funds that about half of the money comes in the states, over $100 million, working round numbers. 50 million is allocated to agriculture. Then there's a formula that the General Assembly in 2000 utilized or developed to allocate the money to the counties based on your tobacco history at that time. So there's amount about 35% of the funds that's allocated to agriculture is divided among the counties based on that formula I mentioned earlier, and then the counties have the ability to invest that money into projects or programs. We're all familiar with the Cape County Agriculture Incentives Program. So about 85% of the $15 million that was allocated last year in 2024 is made available through the Cape Program, County Agriculture Incentive Program. There's also money available, and I know in this part of the country, in Warren County, the one project we're all familiar with is Carl Cheney's. Carl Cheney has been able to use that program to diversify his farm operation and develop that agritourism as an example.
And I think it's probably one of the most significant contributions, probably in my career, that we have seen such a change in agriculture, the safety on our cattle farms, with handling facilities and things like that, and the improvement of genetics certainly was affected.
Early on, when we knew we were going to have the funds available, there was grassroots input on how we utilize the money. And so you're exactly right. There wasn't a lot of cattle producers had cattle handling facilities. And so that's been a major investment of these county funds to help for safety reasons and doing better herd health programs. And then also there's been an education process, and this is where Extension has come in, helping educate on genetics and how improving your herd. We all know half of your genetics comes from the bull, so they can buy a bull that better fits what their mission there at the farm. It's going to improve their efficiency and profitability on the farm. Or some of the examples of the investments as well as programs. Our Cape is one example of a program. We invested in a lot of different projects like the Beef Network and the Kentucky Dairy Development Council and the Hort Council, or some of the examples that money's been invested on a statewide, regional or statewide approach.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of producers benefit locally from those funds, but as well as some statewide projects that Warren County and surrounding counties have been able to benefit from. And I know it's been a journey, to get to where we are today. But
we couldn't do it without Extension. We've got this network in every county that helps that. When we've got an issue that pops up in the county, we're going to our most credible source in that county, and that's going to be Extension.
If you have questions about the Ag Development Fund, make sure to contact your local Extension office. Thanks for watching and have a great day.